What is up, people? And welcome back to a new and improved Highline podcast. We've added a desk for people to listen on Spotify and stuff. You can't see that, but we're going to be on YouTube this week. We're going to be on way more on TikTok, way more on Instagram with the Highline Pulse and with the Highline podcast and the United Pulse. Both are going to be on video from now on, which is huge. We are officially at the end of the season, so we kind of made the call. Right now is the right time. We've kind of had October to up until the end of the season of like finding what works with the podcast, finding out what's the best format, best to talk about. We've obviously added another podcast, but we're going to use the summer months, obviously with the Euros as well. So it's going to be a very, very busy summer with transfers and everything. But to actually improve the whole time, so when we're hitting August into the new season, we're just ready to smash it.
We're leveling up.
We're
leveling up content-wise. We're leveling up setup-wise.
And we have a MacBook.
The Dell is done.
The Dell with the toasted trackpad is over.
It's done.
So we are really upgrading here, but we have to start with the biggest game of the season. It's just ended, the last game of the season, the Champions League final, Real Madrid again.
Inevitable.
I was watching it, right, and everyone was kind of, who I was talking to at halftime was like, what a game. Dortmund have been better. Dortmund a better team. Dortmund are really good. And all I could think of was the scoreline. It's 0-0. So I was thinking, this is so obvious. To me, it was so obvious.
The longer the game went on, the more I just kept thinking to myself, this goal is coming. This goal is coming.
And as all you know, I did predict Dortmund would win. I thought Dortmund would play better.
My duct is over, by the way.
Yeah,
Thank God.
You got the final right, which is important. But to be honest, I changed after. I knew I had a feeling the very minute Dortmund couldn't take any of their clear cut chances over and over, and they came in 0-0. It was
Füllkrug was so unlucky hitting the post, but even that Julian Brandt chance was huge.
Huge,
it was massive.
Even look to when Madrid were 2 up. Dortmund were still creating. Füllkrug got the ball in the goal.
Yeah,
and they could not get a break. I felt it was just not It was not Dortmund's night, and it was a pity for Royce, because obviously he'd been Dortmund all his life. He's come on. It was at 0-0 when he came on. I honestly kind of had a feeling this could be a storyline when he come on. Yeah. He could make a difference here, and it all went completely south for him when he came on. But they have their 15th title, which is we both follow in England, so we look at Liverpool, who are the upper echelon in terms of Europe in England with 6. The second place is 3, and then you're at 2 titles. 15 is unfathomable.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone is going to reach that.
And
Real Madrid are not going anywhere. That's the thing.
That's the scary thing.
They're getting better.
We looked at that, right? We looked at the team when the team came out. We said, okay, Vinny's and Rodrigo. It was Bellingham false 9. And I was kind of like, okay, he's fine there. He's very attacking and stuff. You pull Bellingham back into that 10 again, and what you're doing now is you're adding Mbappe to the striker. So you have a 4, right? You have a 4 of Jude Bellingham, Vinny Jr., Mbappe, Rodrigo.
Is that where you think Mbappe's playing?
I think he's striker. He's going to come in as striker. I think you got a sense as well in Bellingham's interview with, I think it was TNT after the game, obviously very much hinting at, Mbappe is clearly coming, and Bellingham says, look, if he was to come, he fits exactly in what we're missing. And they're not missing a left winger. Their left winger is probably going to win the Ballon d'Or. So he's not winning, he's not missing a left winger. So would that not tell you he's going to play striker?
Yeah, in theory, I think so. But you've got 2 players there that their favourite position is on the left, and they're the 2 best players in the world.
Yeah.
There's going to be a little bit of discomfort in one of them.
The thing I kind of found a bit interesting is, you mentioned it there, look, they're both probably the top 2 now, best players in the world. Yeah. People kind of try to push this, that it's Mbappe and Haaland. I don't think it is. I don't think Haaland can be considered the best player in the world. That doesn't mean I don't think he'll ever win a Ballon d'Or, but it does mean I don't think he should. I think Vinny and Mbappe are the 2 best players in the world, and we have never had the 2 best players in the world playing the same team.
No.
That's not a given that's going to work.
No,
I don't think.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I know it's a different level. We look back, Cristiano could never have played with Messi.
No.
Never. Like they just be battling it out. You get to the dying embers of the year when the Ballon d'Or is kind of coming up. La Liga next season, starting next season, they're both vying for goals. Do you think Vinny running through is going to pass it?
I don't think Vinny's that kind of player though. I don't think Vinny is very
Mbappe
personal. Oh, Mbappe is absolutely. Vinny, I don't think is personal accolade driven. I don't think so. I don't think actually anyone in that Real Madrid team. I think that's why that Real Madrid team is so special and why they've won so much is because they are all up there with the most talented players in the world in their positions, but they're also up there with the most hardworking. All of them. They all put a shift in.
I think that's the difference I noticed because when I watch Vinny, and we commented on this throughout the quarters, the semis, I was like, look, he's an outrageous player, but especially when you go back to the Premier League, you look at the superstars there, the Rashfords or the kind of Salahs. What's the give and take there? They're fantastic going forward, but they do very, very little going back the way. Vinny is different. Vinny is so powerful, so talented, so incredible going forward, but he is just as tenacious getting back.
Yeah,
he really is, and it's a credit to him because what a player. I mean, what a player. But do you think they can coexist?
I hope they can. I think it has to be Mbappe through the middle, but I don't know if he'll like that. He's not going to be involved in the game as much as Vinny is, and Mbappe is going here to be the main man. Now, if he's satisfied with being the main man who gets the goals and is the match winner, all well and good. But if he starts pulling out left because he wants to get on the ball more, and he's taking up Vinny's spaces, Vinny's going to not be happy with that. But that's on the manager. That's on Ancelotti. Everything Ancelotti has done, Ancelotti's got complete buy-in from that squad.
Yeah,
they have They have 5 central midfielders, 6 nearly central midfielders that would start in any team in Europe, and they're all. Bellingham sometimes plays out on the left. Sometimes Valverde's out on the right.
Yeah.
Camavinga sits on the bench. Tchouaméni sits on the bench. Modric just comes on for the last 20 minutes. Kroos comes off after an hour, and they're all completely satisfied doing that. They just have their role in the team and they're happy with that and they do it. If Mbappe is going to have to become selfless a little bit when he joins Real Madrid, and I hope he does, because there is potential there for just an absolutely out of this world football team for him, especially with Endrick coming in. There's going to be so much. He's so exciting, Endrick. Just see if he can come in and he can hit the ground running, score goals like he's been scoring in Brazil. And I'm sure that their recruitment's not going to stop with Mbappe.
I disagree with a good bit of what you said there. I hope it doesn't work. Firstly, I absolutely hope it doesn't work. Like these guys have won the Champions League again. Imagine it does work. What chance have other teams? I hope it doesn't work. I hope that having the 2 best players in the world doesn't work, because then even it'll set a precedent going forward that if a team has a world class player, a star, they won't just go and get the next best. So personally, I hope it doesn't work. I don't. I can't sit here and say it won't, because you have a team that's won the Champions League and they're adding Mbappe to it. That just seems heaven.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with the point that you said earlier, saying Mbappe on one of those more quieter days where the service isn't there. You've seen it all the time. I don't think Mbappe will hold out up front. No. I think he'll drop. He'll want more of the ball, especially if Vinny's kind of taking on his man, having success. We're all looking toward Vinny. I think there's opportunity for there to be an issue there with Mbappe joining Madrid. I do. Now, you also said all the team buy into Ancelotti, which is true. Very easy buy into a manager though when you're winning everything. Very, very easy. You look at it's when you start losing, that's when questions start being asked. And if I'll give you an example, Camavinga, when he was bought for Madrid, right, he was pushed to left back. They won, so all is rosy. Okay, can you imagine Camavinga being pushed to left back, him being exploited, and them not winning? It would be deemed one of the most ludicrous positional changes in the world. But Ancelotti is that good right now. He has a balance, but Ancelotti's
not just that good right now. Ancelotti has done this since the incredible 2000s.
But no one has ever seen this when Mbappe comes. No one has ever seen a Ronaldo and Messi in one club.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be very, very tough for Ancelotti to keep that whole squad satisfied. I really do.
I think there's going to be a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
But if they click,
and Charlie going to be there.
Unstoppable.
Look, he's going to be there next season. I think it's his last year though.
I'd imagine. I think he said he
wants to retire.
He wants to retire at Madrid.
So look, even if it doesn't work out brilliantly for lads, like he's sailing into the sunset with the 6 Champions Leagues.
Look, if Mbappe doesn't hold his side of the bargain, Ancelotti will just raise his eyebrow.
Toast.
And that's it.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's over for the Champions League again.
It's over then.
Look, we can
Mbappe will look at the power of that eyebrow and just say, okay.
A lot of change in the squads in the league. A lot of change in managerial positions in the Premier League. Maresca has officially been announced today. We knew it was coming for about a week or two. We've given briefly our thoughts on this, but I mean, what are the realistic expectations of both him as a manager in the Premier League and that Chelsea squad? What do you think?
Football is going in a very strange direction at the minute. Very strange with managers. Even the likes of Company being announced at Bayern during the week. Just these unproven young managers that have good ideas but haven't implemented them yet. Going to these big clubs being expected that once you have all the facilities, your football is going to shine through.
Yeah.
That is brilliant in hindsight. Now you've got Chelsea players there that are some of the most expensive players in the world ever. They're looking at this guy coming in. Who are you? Who are you? If I was Enzo Fernandez, World Cup winner, Moises Caicedo, £125 million player, even if I was Cole Palmer, like, I know these guys are relatively unproven.
They need to look in the mirror first, those lads you named.
They do, of course.
Palmer.
They do, of course, need to look in the mirror, and they need to realise that they're not near the finished article yet themselves. And the team that they're in is a project. They are, and that's why Pochettino, if Pochettino can finish 6th, wasn't it 6th? And after the season they had, and that's not enough. Mauricio Pochettino, who has a track record of that kind of project.
Yeah, working in the long run.
Does this guy have to get Champions League to save his job?
Do you think he does?
From what I've seen so far, if you're not getting top 4, Chelsea don't want you. Now they might look at this completely different, and I hope they do. We've said this poor man has to come in, have his first big job, his third managerial.
He took it though.
His third managerial job. When the money bags are flying at you, and you're being told you've got £200 million to play with.
But I go back to this, right? What have we been saying about Chelsea all season, right? They have unproven young players all across the squad. They need to add more experience in all those areas.
Yeah.
The one place of most priority where do you need experience is the manager. When you have a squad like that, you start, your number one priority when you get a manager for a squad like that, a project like that, is some experience, because these young players are going to look to you and you have got to earn their respect by what you've done in the past. That's just my opinion, because these guys have egos. They're 120 odd million players, all of them, and they think they're the fucking bee's knees. I think he's going to be swallowed. I think he is going to be absolutely swallowed.
I think everyone has looked at Arteta and Arsenal and think it's the perfect way to build a team, which I agree. It's a really good narrative, but I think it's a bit of an outlier. Arteta came in as unproven manager and he grew with his team. Grew with them. Developed himself as a coach, and the players around him developed as well. And they were all young players, and he was a young coach.
Yeah.
Arteta's style of football when he came in first is on another stratosphere to what it is now.
Yeah, it was dreadful.
But I do have a feeling that that's a bit of it. Like, even United at the minute are looking at that and they're going, Arteta was in a similar position to where Ten Hag was. Do we stick with Ten Hag like Arsenal stuck with Arteta? But I think there's a lot. Arteta was initially brought in as a head coach. And then a year in, he was promoted to manager. This idea of hierarchy, bringing in this yes man young coach that's going to be more inclined to do as he's told. I think that's at the bottom of it all, at the surface of it all. That's what these clubs are looking for. Is a young manager that's nearly fucking privileged that they're there, and they'll get on the training pitch, they'll coach their players, but at the end of the day, what the upstairs says is what goes. And I think that's an okay idea, but the best clubs in the world right now Pep Guardiola, footprint all over Man City. Klopp, when he was at Liverpool, footprint all over Liverpool. Ancelotti. I'm sure he's not calling all the shots, but I'm sure he has a good say in there. And Arteta was a head coach. They realised this guy needs to have his foot in every door. Promoted him to manager, and now he's calling all the shots as well.
I'll tell you the difference, right? I'm going to tell you, and it goes back to my point of respect. And I do think in the Chelsea squad, that's the most important, is that they actually.
And I think they actually gained respect for Pochettino as the season came to a close.
Completely. But I'll tell you what Arteta did to gain that. He came into a squad that actually had experienced players, if you don't remember. What did he do with them? Binned them all. Their captain, Aubameyang, out. Lacazette, gone.
Even the likes of David Luiz.
Gone. You're not good enough for here. What does that do to Saliba coming back from loan, saying David Luiz was shipped? No, he wants me now. What does that do for, a striker coming in, or a Saka? He was kind of utilised at wing back to make way for Aubameyang, who wasn't producing at the time.
And Nicolas Pepe, who was bought for big money.
Arteta said, I don't care what you were bought for. You're not good enough. Saka, you're playing right now. And that not only builds confidence in these players, but so much respect by these players. They want to do it almost for Arteta because he is the reason they're there.
Yeah.
That's what Arteta... Like, if you think of Maresca going in here to Chelsea, not that I don't know what he has the balls to do that, but who does he do it to? There's actually no experience to even bin.
Sterling.
That's
the only one.
Sterling, maybe. And that's where you probably would start. But if he was to go in and kind of get rid of a few to make a point, he can't. You can't ship them. They have about 17 years left of their contract, all of them. So you actually can't ship them. He has left what he has, and there are going to be more incomings. And it's going to be a Nottingham Forest when they got first promoted in the Premier League. It's going to be just a mess.
I think they're already a mess in terms of squad.
They are already a mess in terms of squad.
And they can only get worse.
I don't see them... I do not see this Chelsea team in the top 8 next season.
Really?
No.
Top 8?
No. I don't think so.
I think they have a job in their hands to finish top 6.
I have a huge job in their hands. Forget top 4. I would forget top 4. Well, like, even you talk about improvement in the market. What do you think they're going to do?
Experience, but see, I think everyone thinks they need experience, but I don't think
experience doesn't come.
I don't think the hierarchy want the experience. I think they're obsessed with this young squad and getting the best young players in the world.
And they'll be spurred on by Palmer because they're like, we get 2 more of them. It doesn't happen.
Palmer is 1 out of fucking 20.
Yeah, no.
Since they've taken over,
1 is hit. 1 is
5% hit rate.
And that's not me saying that everyone else they bought is bad, but they're not ready.
But they're not producing yet.
No,
they're not producing yet. They need players around them that can help them grow and show them the way, so that when they're not starting 40 games a season with so much pressure on them. Like some Madueke there. Mudryk. Nearly Jackson. I think nearly goes through the whole team.
No, you're just starting 11 there.
They're not ready to be starting consistently for a team that's fighting for top 4. Not yet, but they could.
Yeah.
But this could completely shatter their reputations. This stint. Enzo Fernandez's what's thought of him has already been brought down a good bit because he hasn't quite produced. Caicedo towards the end of the season was only starting to play well, and then everyone was saying, Enzo Fernandez got injured and Chelsea played better since he's left. There's dangerous questions swirling around.
And the one player I felt outside of Cole Palmer that I feel when he goes on the pitch you know what you're going to get at least, they want to get rid of. Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
And I get it. If you're Chelsea, I also am of the opinion Conor Gallagher, Chelsea of usual Chelsea. He's probably not good enough. But right now, you're not usual Chelsea. You are not the Chelsea that's in the Champions League semis. You're not the Chelsea that's going for the league. You need a player like Gallagher just for some... It's like United had McTominay and Fred. Like United, McTominay and Fred, generally not good enough for United. But United of that time were not won the Champions League finals or challenging for league, but they needed them to get through hard enough times of the season, because when you played McTominay and Fred, you knew what you were getting.
Yes.
You knew every time what you were getting.
Yeah.
We can kind of drift away a touch from that now, United. We're going to move on to them later. But we still need McTominay. We're not there yet. We still need that McTominay to come on, because he'll get a goal. You know what you're going to get. Whereas I just feel Chelsea are even so beyond that level. right now that they don't have they have players I can count on this hand where you know what you're going to get, if even 3. So I think it's really, really difficult for them. A different situation completely, but a new manager nonetheless is Arne Slot coming into Liverpool. It's always tough following Klopp, always going to be. But I think with the squad he's got now and the position it's in, I think it's made it even more difficult actually.
Do you?
I really do. I think Liverpool overperformed last season. I definitely didn't have them in title race in April. So I think they overperformed, and I think that was down to the brilliance of Jurgen Klopp. It feels like to me it shouldn't work as well as it did, and I feel like they were all like very excited to come into Liverpool, come into Klopp, and there was this peak of performance that kind of kept going. Really, in fairness to them, up until kind of your January, February, where if you look at the performance levels, especially in that midfield 3, they began to kind of fall towards the end of the season. I thought Szoboszlai was not the Szoboszlai I saw in August, September, October. I thought Endo started bad the season, but I thought in the middle of the season he had a fantastic middle. And again I thought there was a slip. These things, I wonder will that carry in. I think he's a tough job. I really do, Arne Slot.
Oh, absolutely. It's so hard. It's so tough. And you're going in a pre-season with players that have known the same pre-season regime for the last
Trent spoke about that
7 years, and all of a sudden you've got different messages coming, and while change is good and you have to welcome change at different times, accepting change can be one of the hardest things, especially when you're so used to something and you're so used to something working. It's not like they're changing a manager because it wasn't working and this is like a breath of fresh air. This is nearly like a hangover. You've had the high of this great man that is in so many players in that Liverpool team has given them their careers. Salah, when he joined Liverpool,
that was the making of.
No one really thought anything of him. Trent, all these players that have come through, all the young players that have come through.
So much to Jurgen Klopp.
You owe everything to Jurgen Klopp. Absolutely everything to Jurgen Klopp. And now you've this guy coming in. Again, he's not completely proven in the game. He's won an Eredivisie title with Feyenoord. Good achievement. Didn't win the Eredivisie last year. 7 points off it. Wasn't exactly close. And that PSV team lost 1 game all year. That won the league. And there's nothing being said about PSV's manager. Whereas Feyenoord... Look, I don't know. I think it's a strange appointment. I know Liverpool are completely data driven and they crunch the numbers and they get a man that they think fits what they want to do. They have not got much wrong with that approach. So I'm not going to write Arne Slot off. I think he's got an incredibly tough job. But I think Liverpool are going to struggle. I really do. I think their summer is very important. Hugely important.
I think, look, for Slot and kind of the backroom staff, because we know it's a lot of the upstairs that does Liverpool's transfers. I think it's just as important how they deal with some of their current squad as it is who they get in. Because they're not going to get rid of the likes of a Darwin Núñez. Of course they're not. But I think they have to be treating him as, by the end of this window, they don't want him to be the main man. And I've got to look at. I've watched him. He is not good enough. I don't think he's good enough. He is far too erratic. He has cost them far too many points. I really don't think right now I would be hanging my hat on him whatsoever. Salah, it's tough for a Salah. You question whether you cash in, especially in a club like Liverpool where it would matter to cash in. It would really make a difference. You wonder whether to cash in, because if you make the choice, no, you're not. Salah is your main man, and he really does have that, because the season is coming where he's really under his usual level, because his level is so high. That season is going to come, and it's going to be the next 2-3 years. So I think Liverpool will be wise to get an influx of money before that season happens, because if very that season happens, it's going to drop. I would really be looking at those two. I think you've got to stick with the midfield that's been bought. Maybe add one more personnel to it. Centre back is...
Will Trent be moved into midfield?
I know, this is the thing. I think he's looking like he's going to move into midfield for England. And he was watching the overlap the other day, and Rooney kind of gave his opinion on it, and Rooney was very much like, no, he should be absolutely kept at right back. Like, he is performing so well, and he feels that moving into midfield, there's so much more his defensive game will get found out for, but also he won't have the angles of of the crosses. So look, I don't know what Slot is going to do. No one does. I think if he gets game time in midfield for England in the Euros and performs brilliantly,
that changes a lot.
If he gets game time in midfield for England in the Euros and performs poorly, that changes
There's
a lot.
your answer.
So I think we could know in the Euros whether Slot will go with that. I think Slot will be looking at England very, very in depth.
Well, if you could target one position for Liverpool that would take them that step up and nearly alter your thinking as to whether they'll struggle so much, where would you pinpoint?
God, I'll tell you what it's down to, right? I have two positions in my head and I'm going to explain them both. The first position is a midfielder.
Okay.
I think I'd like a banker, someone who I know is going to create chances. I feel like they don't have that. I think McAllister I love McAllister, by the way, just a preface, but he is last season been trusted as the 6. I'd love to see him more in an 8, but I think he's performed really well as well in the 6, in fairness to him. He has played great, but again, that's with Klopp ball.
Yeah.
Very, very different to other teams. I don't need to have that chance creator, out and out chance creator. I think Arsenal have a fantastic player in Odegaard. I mean, I look at Foden with Man City, De Bruyne with Man City. Bruno is obviously up there as always. Man United. Bruno's the reason Man United are even relevant at times. I don't think Liverpool have that player.
No.
I think they would make a huge difference, and I think it could benefit their strikers. Even if Salah's having an off game, he doesn't have to go look for the ball as much, or Nunez, or I go with a Nunez, or that type of player, a kind of striker, because I have a fear Salah won't be at the level he was. I think that's coming, and I have a fear it could be next season. It mightn't be, but if it is, they're in huge trouble if they don't have his goals.
Yeah.
So that's why I have those two positions. Do you have any other ones? I know they need a centre back.
Centre back and centre forward for me.
Yeah, centre back and centre forward. You're taking a huge risk leaving that midfield as it is. You're taking a huge risk.
I like that midfield.
So McAllister gets injured. You keep that midfield. McAllister gets injured. Endo, Szoboszlai. We're going to play Gakpo. Gakpo's been awful.
Elliot.
You play Elliot? Midfield. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there is options there. I don't think they're Premier League title challenger options.
Have they Gravenberch on a permanent?
He's a loan.
Or is he alone?
I think he's a loan. No, I think he's a loan deal.
Because he's not a bad player.
No, he's not a bad player. Definitely not. Where do you think they'll get next season? Liverpool. Now it's way too early. We haven't seen transfers, so we're going to be doing this in depth. Well, right off the bat, do you think they'll struggle to get top 4?
I think they'll be in a top 4 race.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll drop.
I don't think
astronomically.
So no, I don't.
But I don't think there's a title challenge coming.
I don't think
Slot's first season.
I don't think there's a title challenge coming either. I think it's very interesting. Obviously, we're going to touch on Ten Hag, who's still in the dark.
Yeah.
Crazily, which is very, very worrying. Just looking at the Ineos project, but there's a room for another title challenger to come up next season. There really is. Because at the minute it's just City and Arsenal.
Do you think so? Who's near the level of Arsenal and City, even like stability wise?
I always say though,
I know you're never as far off as you think.
Yeah, I always say that. I mean, look at Arsenal finishing 5th the season prior.
Yeah,
it's just
transfer windows change everything. Transfer windows change everything. That's what I mean.
There's a real gap there to get up. I don't think Liverpool will be. So I think there's a huge gap there, but we still don't know what's Ten Hag. I mean. What's your opinion initially? First 2 weeks of transfer window for Manchester United.
That decision has to be made now.
Yeah, no, not now. It had to have been made 2 weeks ago.
It should have been made. That FA Cup final shouldn't have changed anything.
I agree.
It's
ridiculous.
It's bonkers. Ineos came in and said they were going to change the lack of transparency in the ownership. They're giving United fans no transparency right now. No. And actually, worse, they're giving their team no transparency. They're giving their coach no transparency. They're giving nobody in the club transparency.
Like those players are gone. If they're not in Euros, they're gone.
This is a 2 weeks end of season review. I could tell you in two words what the season was in a review. Fucking shit.
Yeah.
Why do they need 2 weeks to fucking figure that out? They were shit all year.
Yeah, no, so it's what you want to do from here. It's planning, but that decision with who's at the helm has got to be made. That has got to be made. Like whether I don't actually care at this stage whether they go with him or whether they don't. That has got to be made, because that's 2 weeks of planning gone.
Yeah,
and you don't have many of these players with Copa America and Euros this summer. That's 2 weeks gone.
These players won't be coming back to United until the last week of July, first week of August.
Yeah, and the season starts mid-August.
And they're not going to be thinking about United until that time, because
fucking dead right to.
the Euros.
It's just
So
they need to get a move on.
They do, big time.
Like I've said this is the third week saying this, but I think we'll know next week.
by this time next week, if we're still saying this, I'm going to be throwing the mic out.
We're going to be discussing Ten Hag United more on the United Pulse straight after this.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's irritating, but I'm going to leave it for the next.
But we
pod.
do have something to lighten the mood. We have something that can get us excited, because the Euros aren't far away.
What is it?
The Euros
11
aren't far
days?
away.
12
11 days.
Yeah. But
Friday week.
Just as an FYI, right, for everyone listening, next Highline podcast, we are doing a full Euros bracket predictions. We're having a competition, me v you, point system, the whole lot. We're doing that the next podcast, so definitely tune in for that. But just as a tease, just to finish the pod today, as a teaser, I want your 4 challengers.
My 4 challengers.
Yeah, 4 challengers.
France, England, Portugal, and Germany.
France, England, Portugal. I think Portugal have something serious to say in this one. I really, really do. And I think the fourth one will be an outsider.
Someone like Croatia that's always there.
Not even, because Modric hasn't had a huge amount of... He's their most important player, there's no doubt. But Modric hasn't had a huge amount of game time. So, I mean... Euros bracket. We can cut this out now. I do think it'll be an outsider, though.
Is it Italy?
What are Italy going to give us?
I don't know. Spalletti, Mr. Manager, won the Serie A with Napoli. Belgium won't do anything.
The Belgium won't do anything. I feel like it could... Spain could do something.
Spain have a very young team.
Spain could definitely do something. I'd probably opt for Spain.
Why ignore Germany?
I'm not ignoring them. I just felt like it would be... I think Spain have went to... They're obviously a giant, and they've kind of been a small bit asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
Germany have been a bit asleep as well.
They both have, in fairness. I think it's difficult. We're going to have to study this.
I think Germany with Nagelsmann, Musiala, Wirtz.
I love Musiala.
You know, that's your source of creativity.
I love Musiala.
You've got Gnabry and Sane as well.
I just feel like international football never goes the way you expect.
No, it doesn't.
Like, Switzerland could come up and just...
They could. But I don't think you can ever rule France out.
France are just mainstays.
And I think England don't have any excuses.
They've none. And I find it very, very... Just to finish the pod, I find it very, very interesting listening to the English kind of... Even put... They're almost afraid to say it. I go back to the overlap I watched with Gary and Wayne, and they were kind of like, how do you think England will get on? I think they should have a good tournament. They should win.
Yeah.
England should win the Euros.
They're afraid to put pressure on them.
They're so terrified. But I mean, I don't think that builds brilliant desire. But in fairness to Southgate, he's very good at getting the culture right in the dressing room, so the outside doesn't really affect them. But I think England should win the Euros. I think that they're the best team in the Euros. Without a shadow of a doubt, they should win it. But we're going to discuss that next week.
Yes.
Thanks very much for listening, guys.